afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent Hoskins. I serve as Executive Director of the Business Technology Association, and welcome to today's BTA Diversifying My Business webinar. Today's webinar is Unlock Efficiency and Profitability, Discover Noetics, the ERP built for dealers, to be presented by Mark Spears, who's CEO of Noetics. Now, if you have questions along the way, just type them in into the Zoom Q&A or chat there on the screen, and we'll address those at the end of the presentation. And incidentally, you can see on the screen that we have the BTA 2025 National Conference coming up in New Mexico, June 17th through 19th. If you haven't taken a look at that, go to the BTA website and learn all about it. It's going to be a great educational opportunity, networking opportunity. We have more than 40 exhibiting sponsors, some very compelling educational sessions, and a fun keynote, Q&A, or not a Q&A, but like a fireside chat with Emmett Smith. He's going to be interviewed by Mike Marusik, who's the president and CEO of Sharp Electronics here in the U.S. So with that, let's get started. Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Brent. As coincident, we will also be demonstrating there. We'll have a booth, and it's Emmett Smith's birthday today as well, I heard on the radio. So anyway, I appreciate everybody joining. We've got a lot to cover in an hour, obviously. Want to get to the high points of what our platform provides. I know that some of you have been privy to some of the demonstrations that we've done in the past. We've made a lot of advancements over the past several months, and I want to give you the high-level impacts of what we're doing, and then give you an opportunity at the end to engage with us a little bit more if you would like to see more in depth, talk to some references, things like that. But in order to get started, I wanted to share that we're going to go through the modules of what our platform includes. It's a little bit more than what you would traditionally think an ERP is, and I want to talk through those and share with you at a high level what those are. Then I want to give you some real world examples of automations and playbooks that we've created for our industry, and then also provide you with some opportunity to hear some of the feedback of what we've had so far. So without further ado, our story and how we got started was that we had started building an ERP platform and for another vertical market, and had been contacted to get back into the copier business. I'm not actually an ERP guy that got into the copier space. I was a copier guy that got lured back into the copier space. You can't get away from it. And we're happy to be here. And as a part of that process and evaluating how we were going to develop an ERP for the copier industry, it wasn't just a couple of us building an ERP in our garage. We actually approached several different software providers to innovate on their platform. And we went through Acumatica, we went through Nextworld, SAP, and we happened upon a company called Odoo, who some of you may have heard of, but probably not likely, in that they started in Europe. But Odoo is a company that developed an ERP that has 15 million current users. They just got an additional investment of about $256 million last year from Alphabet. They have $1.2 billion in annual revenue on a $5.4 billion valuation. I tell you all that to tell you this is that you would be crazy if you were buying an ERP from somebody that had homegrown a platform, because it just wouldn't be able to meet all the needs that our industry needs. And I wanted to give you some peace of mind, and that you're not on the bleeding edge of this technology, and that there are a substantial amount of people using the platform that we then took and innovated for our industry. So how did we do that? Well, we started out with, we wanted to be more than an ERP. We wanted to be an ecosystem. In too many situations and too many cases for dealers right now, and quite frankly, all companies, they're using too many SaaS subscriptions to do what one subscription should do. That creates inherent challenges with regards to training, with regards to when one platform changes, it disconnects and makes other platforms not work. And it also leads to having convoluted workflow processes to fit the software, and not the opposite, which is to have the software to fit the ideal workflow process. So when we say we're a complete ecosystem, we are. but we also include what you would traditionally think about when you think about an ERP. For example, AP and AR. Obviously, we've got to get through the foundational items that companies like yours need before we can get to the icing, which is adding the extra value and automations and things that dealers need in our daily workflow process. Reports. It comes standard with our platform, comes standard with reports. Not only does it include all of the regular financial reports that CFOs are looking for, it includes things like leaderboards for sales, your top orders. It is funnel reports, forecasting reports. And the great news about this is that if you want to make a change, whether it's cosmetic or from the data standpoint, you don't have to place a service call or a help desk call to us in order to do that. Our platform is an open platform, which means that you're able to go in and make these cosmetic changes or math changes with a no-code interface that's known as Studio. You'll find that you will be able to make a lot of workflow changes that you want to make without spending extra money to have a quote unquote expert do it. But of course, we're always here if you wanted to have something a little bit more complicated. In addition to reports, inventory, obviously completely controlled through our system, thereby being able to track incoming equipment, used equipment. The ability for valuation on your inventory is at your fingertips, and also price lists. We know that some of our manufacturers don't make it extremely easy for us to manage price lists. In our system, you have the ability to add tags and manage multiple price lists from multiple different vendors. Lease management. So within our system, whether you're having your own internal leasing company or you're partnering with one of our companies that we currently integrate with, Great America, Wells Fargo, etc., you don't have to have a separate ERP platform, and that you can run a dual company, your own separate leasing company inside of this one platform. The benefit to you guys is that you don't have to pay for a separate license, a separate deployment, and the systems talk to each other so that you can make sure that you keep everything in order. Purchasing, automatic purchasing, inventory controls, so that if a sales rep orders something and if you have an automatic reorder control set up, that depending upon what the product is, we can automatically send a PO, acknowledge the PO, and get the receipt for that. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. Of course, if you want to have manual checks in the beginning, you're welcome to that as well. Commissions. So there are a lot of different tools out there that dealers are using. One of the most popular ones is SSK, Sales Scorekeeper. We have the ability to provide real-time commission reports, President's Club standings, gross profit reports, leaderboard standings, and manage commission plans. Oh, by the way, our platform also has a recruitment module that can manage the offer letters sent to employees that you're recruiting and integrate those commission plans so that there is a one place holding that you can control all of those. Important to be able to take payments. We have created our own fintech solution so that right now, if you want to take credit card payments or ACH payments, you're able to do that, and you can be up and running and doing that in about a day. One of the interesting things with our solution with regards to credit card and ACH is your customer can store their payment for future bills, which they can log into our included portal, see all of their invoices, service calls, equipment, leases, service contracts, whatever you want them to see, and they can pay those with a stored payment. To make it even easier, what we've done is we've allowed your customer to choose whether they want to automatically reconcile their invoice at the end of the month. And if they choose to do that, when the system gets to their billing cycle, it will automatically charge their stored payment, reconcile it via the GL account, thereby eliminating the need for your admin staff to have to do time-consuming calculations and audits to make sure that you're reconciling correctly. Expenses. Yes, our platform does include an expense module so that if you are reimbursing employees for expenses, you have a way to track those. It's an automatic import from whatever credit cards you are allowing them to use. If you are one of the people that are using Ramp, the credit card technology that helps companies like yours manage expense reporting, we integrate with that. And then the team, as I mentioned earlier, has the ability to manage your teams, your 360 reviews, annual reviews, time off, vacation, etc. So once we're past the financial modules, we took those and then we started innovating for the things that our industry would specifically need. Our system comes with its own integrated DCA, meaning that you don't have to pay a separate subscription fee. It's all one price. In fact, all of the modules that I'm sharing with you come at a single price. It's not a nickel and dime. You get all of them. In addition to the ones that I've mentioned, you also have the ability to use our CRM, which is a fully developed CRM with playbooks, territory assignments, quota, forecasting, and budgeting. In addition to the DCA, we have our MPS contract module, which will allow you to set up the contracts in the form that you want to with your current customers, whether you're looking at overages quarterly, annually, group meter billings, group contract billings, etc. And we also automate the escalation for contracts depending upon what you want that to be. And those can be variable escalations on the base, on the overage, and you can set those up in advance. You don't have to do it manually. In addition, this is the first time that I'll be announcing that we have a full integration with Pivot. So if you are a Pivot current customer and you are using them to help you improve your profitability and service and sales with regards to territory management, MIF management, trunk stock, there's a full integration of that reporting and a bidirectional sharing of data so that you will be able to keep the reports that you're accustomed to and seeing the analytics associated with that. A couple of the neat things that we've done that are probably not what you would consider part of an ERP. We've got a offering called Branded, which is our version of digital business cards, so that when your sales reps are at trade shows or at events, they have an NFC enabled digital business card or digital wristband that they can share and gather customers' prospects information, and it will automatically create a lead in the CRM and assign it to that sales rep. It allows us as managers to be able to keep track of what our actual investment paid off when we're attending events. We actually get to see how many leads we got, who was followed up with, and who wasn't. One of the most talked about things that I have dealers comment on that go through a full demo is our ability to add playbooks. And I'm going to share that in a real world example with you further on in the presentation. But it's literally the ability to automate assigning activities for service technicians, for your sales reps, for sales managers, for quite frankly, any employee in your team. When something happens, you want to set of actions to take place. That can be emails, in-person meetings, text messages, etc. Field service. Great feedback from our dealer community so far on field service. As with all of our applications and the modules I've shared with you, every single one of these works in the mobile application, whether it be Apple or Android, and on a tablet, up to and including the ability to have customers digitally sign, take a payment, close service calls, and a technician will be able to manage all of their service calls from their phone or their tablet. And as some people are aware that you might not have the ability to do with some of the platforms that are out there, multiple people will be able to log in to see a service call for collaboration, because there is a chat feature where teammates can talk about issues associated with service or even billing. All of these are interactive and mobile-based responsive. Take a breath for a second. Let you guys remind you guys that there's ability to ask questions in the chat if you want. Brent is monitoring that. So if you do have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll try to get to those as I see those come up. One of the other segments of our business that we see dealers spending money for subscriptions on is the marketing piece. And what our platform allows you to do is to reduce your reliance on those other platforms, because we provide marketing modules that replace things like HubSpot, MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, etc. And it's not a lightweight version of those. It's a full automagic mapping of workflow processes for marketing, customer communication, digital marketing, social media, all of these things can be controlled from our platform. For example, one of the things that I really like about this group of modules is the social media management. From one pane of glass, you're able to manage your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, YouTube, and a couple of other platforms from one pane of glass. And what I mean by manage it, you're able to see responses, track your engagement, make posts by creating one single post and posting it to all of your social media channels, and do that in one platform. The even neater thing about it is if you do get engagement, which is what we all hope for on the social media when we're doing some marketing there, is any engagement automatically creates a lead in your CRM and can automatically create a follow-up activity for a sales rep or whomever you have assigned to that opportunity. The second module that I like about our platform in this bundle is the recruiting module. In addition to being able to track and provide offers to people that you do decide to hire, this works as a sort of CRM to recruit people so that you can retrieve resumes, you can get those OCR scans scored for skill sets, and be able to schedule interviews, tests, accreditations, and to be able to manage those job-seeking candidates through the process. You can also have a list of reporting to see where you're getting the most hires, where you're missing in terms of resumes, etc. But it's a very powerful module. Let me see what the chat question. Do you provide the merchant account for receiving credit cards? Do we use our existing bank? So we have a multitude of merchant account. The question is when you're using our fintech solution to pay via credit card, what are the options for the merchant? And the options are that we have a multitude of different merchants that we can submit you to get underwriting and get you approved. And then it's up to you to choose whichever one you feel is the best rate. We don't take anything from that. We allow that as a service for you guys to be able to get payments and receive those payments quickly. So what? We've got a lot of different modules that do a lot of different things. In the real world, what does that look like, and how have we seen that we've been able to help dealers that are using the platform right now? Well, it all stems from automation, because at the end of the day, if we're not automating things that are currently a manual process, all the technology in the world doesn't help us, right? Because we know that we're all busy and doing things on a daily basis that we need to do. And when technology has the opportunity to fill the gap where manual operations once were happening, that's what we should do. And here's a couple of examples how we do that, which help our people, help our process, and ultimately improve our profitability. Number one is sales, right? So a couple of different examples of sales that we create automation for, and that we are going to show in our second demo for anyone that wants to schedule a call with us to see a demo, is sales proposal order. From sales to proposal to order. When a sales rep in our system creates a sales order, they can automatically create a proposal, send that proposal, and complete the sales order in one system automatically. For example, you don't have to retype a proposal. You don't have to go into a different system. We set it up for you so that the variable data associated with that sales order automatically populates a boilerplate template that you provide to us, and we customize for you to be able to send proposals. There's an email integration in our system via Outlook or Gmail that you'll be able to use to send these proposals and get communication in one platform. Leasing. I do believe we have some folks on the call from Great America. One of the leasing integration companies that we have, including Great America and Wells Fargo, will allow you to, when a sales rep has a completed sales order, click on Setup Leasing. And from that point forward, 90% of the process is automatic. What I mean by that is the release rate cards are synchronized on a daily basis so that we know that we're using the right rate card. The payment is automatically calculated. The credit application is submitted to the leasing company. And once approved, depending upon whether or not the signature is digitally accepted or it needs to be wet, if it's digitally accepted, that leasing documentation will be sent to the customer, electronically signed, and you'll be able to then manage that lease ongoing in your lease management portfolio module in our system. Customer communications. One of the things that we automate in terms of customer communications is when we have a sale right now, we have a workflow automation that once an order is completed and funded, a communication is sent to the customer that says, we need to do a pre-site survey. We need to make sure that you've got the correct NEMA plug. Do we need a stair climber? Are you going to be there for certain hours of the day? And are all of these things acceptable to you? We send one email. If they respond and we get the answers, we don't send a second email. But if they fail to respond, we send a second email and even a third, depending upon what your preference is. At any point, once they give us the appropriate response, those emails automatically stop sending. The benefit to this is we don't have a dry run where a truck goes out, they're not there, we didn't have a stair climber, they weren't ready, et cetera, et cetera. That eats into our profitability, and we hope to eliminate as much of that as possible. The last example that I want to give you in terms of the automation is the DCA install. Similar to the pre-site survey communication, once a deal is confirmed and at the appropriate point in the workflow, the customer will receive an email, if you choose to handle it this way, that allows them to click a link, install the DCA, and thereby populate your contract management portfolio with the serial numbers associated with that installation and allow them to start participating in the automatic toner replenishment program. Kitty, I think you raised your hand. I'm not sure if you had a question. I'm not sure if your guys are allowed to speak on this. I'm not sure if we can turn that on or off, but if you want to drop your question in the chat.
I see it in Q&A. I don't know if you're able to see the Q&A. It says, Kitty has asked, can your solution build customer quotes with real-time pricing and availability through manufacturers and distributors?
So that's all limited to the manufacturer and the distributor, and whether their connection has that capability. For example, distribution management, real-time monitoring, management, availability, et cetera. Yes, of course. Some of the manufacturers don't have that capability via EDI, but those that do, yes. In our system as well, it will automatically show a sales rep or quite frankly, anyone, your current inventory on hand, your projected sales via quotes, and allow you to do forecasting for what you need to purchase and what you need to requisition.
Mark, there is one other question, if you allow me. It says, do
Sure.
you have full accounting, a general ledger, cash books, etc.?
It's 100% full accounting. And I would tell you that it's one of the best questions that we get. And I think one of the most skeptical in terms of, can we do it all? And do we have the ability to handle valuation, et cetera? Please book a call. Let us run you through all of the standard reports that are included in our accounting package. And we've actually also created additional accounting features and functionalities that some customers have requested. I don't think that you would be, we've not had a single dealer be disappointed or ask us for something that wasn't included in the platform. Okay. It's important to note here too, I'm in the background of this screen, you're seeing a little bit of a workflow. One of my dealers that's using our platform now, I was asking her, what should I share? What's one thing that knowing what you know now that you would suggest that I share? And her comment was that the process to onboard is not as scary as some people would think. And I said, well, why do you think that was easier for us? And she said, well, you guys do your workflow analysis. And what that looks like is kind of the diagram in the background of the screen, and that we sit down with each department and we go through a workflow diagram to identify some of the manual processes. Well, we diagram the entire process from beginning to end, but then knowing what we know about what the technology capabilities are, we identify, and you can see here on this screen, a red T, the technology areas where we know that we can take what was once manually and make it automatic using the technology that we have. And that was a huge takeaway for her in terms of our ability to onboard them and how we walk you through the process. It's not something that you have to do on your own. Our onboarding process is detailed to the nth degree, and we can share that with anybody that chooses to do the second demo. Invoicing, right? It's one of the biggest concerns that we have. Can you bill contracts correctly? Can you make my invoice look the way that I want it to look? I can assure you that the invoice, if you want it to look exactly like the invoice that you're sending right now, that I've seen 1,000 times, we can make it look exactly like that. There's customization. We help you brand. We can include the things that are most important to you so that your customers, when switching platforms, don't think that something has changed and then it's not a realistic invoice. Some of the other things that are automated in our system is the ability to automatically reconcile. We have the ability, if you're receiving the same bill every month and you want to automatically reconcile that, we can set up rules in our automation that allows you to not have to reconcile those every single month. We can even set up tolerance levels that say as long as it's within 2% of or 5% or whatever tolerance level you want, that will automatically reconcile. We all have those Zoom accounts, Microsoft Office, Google, you name it, all those bills that come in that if we can automate that, it takes some burden off of our people. Auto escalate, I spoke about that a little bit earlier. We can set up escalation rules on every different charge that you have, whether it be the overage, whether it be the base rate, etc. And we can set that escalation to automatically happen at the point in time that you want. So you don't have to do that manually. Collections, I really like this piece of it in terms of, especially if we don't, if we're following up on collections or past due invoices manually or via phone, what we have is a playbook that says once a customer is past due X amount of days, you tell us how many days that is. They get an email reminder. If they go an additional X amount of days, they get a second email. If they go an X amount of days, they get a third email. And then also if they go past that, or at any point in time you want to assign a phone call, that is a playbook that is assigned and somebody can automatically be assigned to that phone call to follow up. All reportable, all complete, clear line of optics to see those follow-ups, but those are automated in our system. You set up the protocol on how you want that follow-up to take place. Those activities either automatically take place via email or assigned to one of your people to do those manually. Lease expirations. One of our playbooks that we've created is a result of one of our dealers saying, you know, I've got new sales reps and maybe we don't have our training program locked down as well as we should have, but I got a new sales rep that comes in and 120 days prior to a lease expiration, they're coming to me and saying, what do I need to do? I've got this lease expiration. Well, in our playbook, what we've done is defined exactly what should happen. And in some cases, automate those actions for a sales rep. For example, what we've done for this dealer is 120 days prior to the lease expiration, a couple of things start happening. Number one is it gets assigned an activity to the sales rep that says you need to look at, via the lease module in our system, what they're currently paying, what their overages have been, what their service history is, and the last time they had a quarterly business review. You're going to collect this data, you're going to provide an analysis, and then you're going to go to step 2. All of these activities are automatically assigned to the sales rep at a given interval from the day 120 days prior to lease maturation. The second activity says, okay, now that you've got all this information, here's a little calculator that you need to use. You need to calculate what they're currently paying, plus their service rates, plus their overages. What's their total monthly spend? Now, the second calculation that you're going to do is how much are they going to pay with the escalation? But keep in mind, because we have this data, it's automatically populating for them. So if a customer were to tell a brand new sales rep, well, what if I just keep my existing equipment? What's it going to cost? We provide those numbers for them, right? We increase the escalation. We provide whatever analytics you want inside of there to create that number, but it's automatically at their fingertips. And then the third calculation they do is, what if they were to add a new what if they were to upgrade? What's that cost, right? So they do these calculations. Well, that's just part of it, right? The next step is then the activity that's assigned to them is activity step number 3, and that's call to schedule or email. They get a choice, but they're to schedule the cut with the customer a face-to-face meeting. or a virtual meeting, whichever your company's preference is. But what we also provide them is a talk track template for that, so that they will be able to talk to the customer or email the customer something that you want them to be sending or saying, so that they have the best chance for success. And then on that meeting date, we provide them with a list of what you tell us that they should be prepared with. We give you a list, but they have a list of things that they should be prepared to speak about, and it gives them a checklist to go through for that call. That's just one playbook. If you think about all of the things that we do as a technology provider that are the same things, virtually 90% every time they're the same thing, we create these playbooks so that they're automated and allow you guys to have a repeatable process of success. So the third thing is in service and meters. These are all, again, playbooks of activities that are automated. One of the ones that we created in the very beginning was the reconnect communications, so that if a DCA stops reporting for a certain period of time, again, that's based on what your wishes are. If it's 3 days, 5 days, etc., an email goes to that key operator who's identified in our CRM. It sends out an email and says, hey, you need to reconnect your DCA, or you're in risk of not receiving your next toner replenishment. And here's how you can do that. Here's a YouTube video how you can do that. If you really need help, you can place a service call by clicking this link. If at any point they reconnect the DCA, the email messages stop. But if in another 3 days they have not reconnected the DCA, another email goes out. Hey, we sent you a first email. Here's the second message. Can we help, etc.? We help you craft that message. And then the third is the last chance. Hey, your toner is going to stop being shipped. And if we have to do a hot shot delivery, there's an extra fee associated. And even in some cases, dealers have asked us, because we can send SMS text messages directly from our platform, that we send a fourth message via SMS text, and that to the key operator that says, we've tried reaching you via email. Here is a link to reconnect. Please do so. If not, we're going to stop shipping toner. Territory coordination. In terms of service, we have the ability, based on whether your service technician is either has too many calls assigned to them, if they're on vacation, if they're out sick, to automatically reassign those service calls to the appropriate technician, even after the service call is placed. Because of our ability to send customer satisfaction surveys, we automate that process. So at the end of the service call, you can send a variety of different templated surveys to your customer to get customer feedback on whether or not your technician was satisfactory, if the customer's happy, or if they needed something else. Service escalation playbook. In addition to being able to notify a service technician that a service call that they are about to go to is part of an ongoing sales opportunity, we also have the ability to escalate and automate feedback and escalation to service managers and owners if a call has a recall in X amount of days, or they have more than X amount of calls in a 30-day window. All of those are automatically assigned to service managers, to service leads, to sales reps, depending upon what the case may be. And then the last thing that we have in terms of automation is artificial intelligence. It's what everybody is talking about in terms of using AI and ChatGPT to be able to do content, provide answers, support for your people. And you'll be happy to know that in our platform, throughout the platform, ChatGPT is integrated, so that if you are conducting emails, sending correspondence, following up with the customer on any communication, you can use ChatGPT to rewrite that or refine your message. In addition to customizing your messaging, our DCA has a built-in chatbot that if a sales rep is about to go on a service call, or they want to have a quarterly business review with the client, they can ask the AI tool inside of our DCA to provide them a talk track or a list of things that they might want to discuss with that client. It gives them the ability to have an agenda and a structure to be able to follow, so that they're having a good quarterly business review with their client. Again, AI is present in all of the different modules and various forms and functions. So some of our current partners that we have that are integrated into our tool are listed on the page, on this screen. One of the things that it's probably good to mention at this point is while we encourage you to use the 100% of our ecosystem, we don't lock down who you can and who you cannot use. For example, if you're using Predictive Insight, EKM, and you want to continue using them as your DCA, we integrate with them. In fact, it was one of the very first ones we done. If you are using KPAX or Printfleet, those integrations are created. Great America, integration is created, but we don't want to be the company that tells you who you can and who you can't do business with. We want to be able to be the provider that partners with you to give you the best ecosystem that you want. One of the ones that I just noticed that I left off of here is I know a lot of us are using Agent Dealer and Ed Barfield. We have an integration with those guys. If you don't want to change and use our CRM, that's fine. We want to be able to help you to be more efficient and use the automations associated with our platform to partner with them. So you've got that ability as well. So it's a build your own. We want to encourage you to reduce some of the ones that you really don't need, but if there is a compelling reason, then obviously there's ability to partner with them. One of the other ones that I will mention that I'm most excited about is our Midwest Copier Exchange integration. I know right now with inventory and warehousing and being able to control inventory when machines come back in and how we track that, we've got the ability with Midwest Copier Exchange that if you want to partner with them to automatically sell your wholesale equipment to them and automatically schedule the pickup or data shredding via their partner Arcoa. There's a huge integration here that takes some of the lift off of your warehouse managers to be able to have to manage inventory and warehouse space, and we don't wind up with, copiers that have been there that have moving platens from the 90s. So there's a huge integration here that we're getting great feedback on from dealers. In addition, because we are built on the Odoo platform, there are standard integrations that are available for dealers to use as well that we help them with. For example, Power BI, FedEx, Shopify, and yes, if you want to continue to use HubSpot, there's an integration there. But all of the third-party logistics companies, shipping, tax compliance through Avalara or TaxCloud, all of those are available applications. And while I do have WooCommerce and Shopify on here, I will take this time to mention that our platform comes with a fully integrated e-commerce engine as well. It's really easy to set up in that when we integrate your catalog for the products that you're currently selling, you let us know if you want all of your segment 1 copiers or your entire catalog on the e-commerce platform. And when the click of a button, we can set that up so that customers can buy toner, they can buy segment 1, they can pay for it. And in some cases, they can even lease a copier off of your e-commerce site. So what's next? The QR code on here is a link to my Calendly that will allow you to set up a demo with either me or one of my teammates to be able to do an initial demo for you and answer any questions. In addition to, don't worry about if you can't scan this or get your phone scanned up that quickly. I'm going to send a follow-up email to everybody that's on this call. And it will contain a couple of different things. The first thing that it's going to contain is a link to this recording once it's rendered so that you'll have it for your use. The second thing that it's going to include is a frequently asked questions document, because we've for the past year and a half, I think we've been asked all of the questions, but so I want to provide those in writing to you so that maybe it'll help you decide if it's something worth taking the next step or not. So with that, I got through that really, really quickly. Questions that you guys have?
All right. Thank you, Mark. Great presentation. Now is the time, attendees. If you do have a question for Mark, you can put it in the chat there on the screen or the Q&A. We're kind of keeping our eye on that to see if anything else pops up there. While we're waiting a moment, Mark was kind to put the slide back up about our conference coming up in just a month, in June 17th through 19th. What I really wanted to emphasize here, if this is something you're thinking about, have been thinking about, the hotel discount deadline is coming up pretty quickly, next Tuesday, May 20. So keep that in mind if you've been thinking about attending the conference. Um, beyond that date, we don't know for sure a guaranteeing on the room rate, but we know we can offer it through May 20th. So I don't see any other questions or chats coming
Hey,
up on the
Brent, I am going
screen.
to answer a couple that I do know that I was asked prior to the call. I had a couple of people email me prior to ask, and I thought I'd just answer them all in one. One of the first things that I get asked is it your data? Interesting question. Of course, it's your data. You have access to the data. We in no way aggregate your data, take your data, or take ownership of your data. It is your data. The second question that I got is it cloud-based? Is it on-prem? And it is cloud-based. We do have a cloud-based. We have redundant security, AWS, we do hosting as well. You can do on-prem if you choose to, but based on the value proposition that we have, it's typically not worth doing the on-prem hosting, but you can if you want to. Time to deploy. One of the things that we've had dealers wait a little bit too long before they get to the end of their current subscription with their current provider. I would say that at a minimum, we need 90 days, and depending upon the size of your organization, maybe more. So I would encourage you to take a look at the end of your subscription with your current provider and let us know if you're interested, but we would definitely want a minimum of 90 days.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Good deal.
Still watching. I don't see any other questions or chat. I don't know
Easy group.
if you want to go back to the QR code or whatever you had on the previous screen, just to make that available. Yes. So that leads to the frequently asked questions. You're going to be emailing them. This webinar is being recorded. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Mark.
Yeah, so the QR code is to be able to schedule a demo. You can schedule that if you scan the QR code, and it'll go directly to the calendar. It'll show you what's available and what's not. The email that I'm going to send is going to include the FAQ and a link to this recording. So that will come in a separate email, but the QR code is if you wanted to schedule something now, you can use that. I will also provide the link in the email that you can click on to schedule a call for the demo, but look forward to answering any of those questions. If you just want to chat about what pricing, if you want to talk about using the modularity of the CRM, anything that you want that we can help you with, how you might prepare, let us know. We're glad to help.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Appreciate your willingness to present today and tell us more about Noetics. I know we've been hearing it out there, and this gives us a little bit more insight into the product and the company. We thank you for that. Incidentally, it was mentioned early on, Mark will be at the national conference in New Mexico, so there'll be an opportunity to talk to him in person, learn more about the product. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and end the webinar today. We thank you all for your membership in the association. I was hoping we could announce the next webinar. We've got some in the works. We're just not quite ready to announce those. So watch BTA's social media and website, and they'll be coming up soon. So again, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Good job.
Everybody have a great day.
Absolutely. We'll end the webinar for now, and we'll look forward to seeing you in a future BTA webinar. And thank you all for your membership again in the association, including Noetics. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.